What's going on, boys? Today we're talking some United Statesian stuff. I dislike the way the American state and the American myth are tied up, because I think they are two completely separate things. I've mentioned the way American justice does not exist on solely a dealing with cops as an individual level, and we're always talking about the way American society does not reflect the American dream, but I'd like to start this section with an anecdote. My maternal grandfather, a man whose father necktied himself and his mother disappeared for a while, grew up essentially without parents for however many years before getting taken in by his grandfather during the Great Depression, fought in World War II in the Navy, then worked as a sailor, then became a pilot, went through the process, got his pilot's license, started flying, became disaffected with the country, the United States, sometime during the 1950s. And the 1950s are supposed to be the time Americans hearken back to as the greatest era. Something about that era my maternal grandfather had a problem with. And then he got obsessive. He wanted to buy a large chunk of land for future generations of our bloodline to live on, a bit away from everyone else, insulated. And he did that. He wasn't just flying. When he wasn't flying, he would be trucking. Anything to secure enough soil his blood could survive on it for however many years in the future. He accomplished that. And even though property taxes kept on increasing, and although our land isn't the greatest quality land, it's still land. And it is enough land to support a miniature state within a state, let's say. Even though the times were changing, as long as enough people were pitching in, we could maintain our separation from something to an extent. Well, time travel to present day, our soil is deserted of its blood, and we are getting rid of the land. Why? Well, in addition to everything else wrong with the American state, separated from the American myth, the American values, eminent domain exists. It's supposed to be for war, but in the modern day, what it means is if Uncle Sam or a subsidiary of Uncle Sam wants your land for any reason, they can take it. Your options are get fucked or get fucked really badly and branded. And what remains of my mother's side of the family came really close to getting fucked badly and branded because they didn't want to go down without a fight. Fuck your grandfather, fuck his service, fuck his grave, even. The pipeline was going to go through the area in which my grandfather is buried. Fuck you. We don't care. Give us your land. It ended up not happening, but lack of a better word, it was traumatizing for the remnants of my maternal grandfather's family. And now they are doing some Kaiser Soze shit and getting rid of it. All of it. And who can blame them? Why would you want to hold on to something knowing at any time men in uniforms with guns can come and take your heritage? Whatever's happening, I think, is intentional. You don't have this many bad experiences with the government without there being some kind of purpose to it. Something that needs to be done as a result of it. And even if there isn't some kind of grander purpose, the fact the state is this ugly, these kinds of things can happen and still keep trucking along. If it's happening to one person, God knows how many other people things like this and even worse are happening to. It's not a sign of a strong state. It's the sign of a bleeding state. A state that is running through the woods, wounded, being tracked by whatever is going to end it. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And even though Americans are comfortable, complacent, and apathetic, eventually something is going to go wrong. For enough people, people are going to do something. What we're doing right now is building an abstract case. Not too long ago, there was a guy who did not redecorate his interior. And you would think, because everyone was frothing at the mouth to get at what this guy knew, what happened would light a fire under everyone's ears and people would do something. They didn't do anything, but that does not mean nothing happened. People did nothing because they are safe right now. It's weird the way this seems to work, but once things become physically, materially unsafe, people turn to the abstract for strength, for guidance. What's happened with America, with the United States, is our abstract is being wholly poisoned, even though they do nothing when abstract type things should light fires under them and they do nothing. Once things threaten their safety, they are not going to turn to the state for that strength and guidance. The case for the state is evil grows larger and larger every single day. When things go really wrong, whatever it will be, people will not be on the state's side. So why do I bring all these things up? Well, my issue is during trying times in the past when I was younger, before I had all these different experiences, colorful experiences with the American state, I would reach for the idea of America for guidance and strength. It was a religion, just about. The apotheosis of Washington. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It is a religious painting of George Washington. It's in our capital. Our brain, we're going to use the M word, our mimetic makeup leads us to look toward our government as an almost, or not as an almost, as a religious institution. And with that outlook, you are either a zealot or an atheist. My issue is during hard times, or sometimes when I am trying to mend or fashion myself, I still reach for something vaguely United Statesian for guidance, for moral and emotional support. But the state is poison. People with uniforms, guns, pins, and meaningless rhetoric are poison. They are rot and decay personified. If you aren't guilty, you should have nothing to hide. So, what am I reaching for, then? Well, I'm pretty sure I am reaching for the American myth, not the American state. And although they are commonly wound together, they really shouldn't be. Because American values, the idea, and the American state, what we are, what we've become, are two separate entities, and the state winds itself in with the American myth because the American myth is powerful. I'll never forget, I was reading a pornographic fetish story, and during one of the narrative moments, one character referred to the United States as the States of America, and another character corrected that character, saying it's the United States of America. And without my getting deep into it, you know what that distinction is and why it's important. Why the name the United States is important. What that means for the idea of the country and its people. I think the American myth, in essence, is people of all sorts coming together and telling authorities, tyrants, the people who wave guns in our faces and tell us to give them our land, our livelihoods, etc., to go fuck themselves. And will probably dress in cowboy hats and wave revolvers around while we're doing it. And I think the American myth is already separating itself from the American state in popular consciousness. You ask for anyone's top 5 games, video games ever. Red Dead Redemption is probably going to be on most people's lists. You shed tears because the state, men in uniforms with guns, fucked an individual over. A good man. Red Dead Redemption is one of the most American games ever made, and it is 100% anti-state. Django Unchained, not just an entertaining film, but a relevant film. I'm surprised there isn't more criticism on that movie, but I would say maybe its message is just a little bit anti-state. Maybe just a little anti-authority. Old Town Road, not just the song, but all the social movement around that song. Relevant. One of the best lines. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Or if you want to get literary in a very similar vein, Faulkner. You know him, you love him. He's still complicated, but not more complicated than Joyce. He's still fucking with you, but I would place him in an anti-authority message, contending with and wearing the American myth versus the American state mask. United Statesians, probably not consciously, are already separating the American myth from the American state. Because the American myth is still, I think, worth aspiring toward. The American state, not so much. I'm not that big into fluoride or mind control. I'm not that big into separating people from their families and piping music in over them, shoving flashlights up children's assholes. It's not really my thing. When I think America, I don't think torture like that. For no good reason. Just because you can. Well, actually, when I think America, I do, unfortunately. But I shouldn't, because Americans are supposed to be better than that. 2 comedy specials worth watching from Patrice O'Neal's mentor. Unconstitutional, about the Constitution, and A Long Story Short, about human history, with an American kind of focus and a New York vibe. Colin Quinn is very high concept. Love him. And the Statue of Liberty. We built a statue to liberty. Well, we didn't build it, but we might as well have. Go fuck yourself. We're better than you. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. We're supposed to be getting everyone worldwide in here to wear cowboy hats and shoot authorities. Self-reliance, not this bureaucratic shit we've been tricked into thinking is self-reliance. Real diversity, diversity in the sense anyone who wants to be free of dumb tyrannical shit. Freedom, not one specific sort of government, any kind of government that supports freedom, and cowboy hats and horses and guns, and again, fuck authority. Those are all American values still worth believing in, completely separate from this hell state we've let fester and grow until it controls everyone and everything. Not just us, but other countries, the whole world. The point so far is the American state and the American myth are separate things, and they are separate enough collective unconscious is already separating them. Not as fast or as thoroughly enough for my taste, but it's still happening. And there is some kind of abstract you can grasp onto. In my lifetime, I would like to contribute to the separation of suits and pins Americans from rootin' tootin' Americans. I hate that people with suits and pins souls get to wear rootin' tootin' facades. I hate that more than anything. And I also hate that wearing rootin' tootin' come and take it on your sleeve either A, gets you associated with dumb, pathetic, subservient, useless suits and pins Americans, or you are completely written off as a schizo, ticking time bomb, brainless, whatever word you want to use, creature. That marginalization is happening, again, not consciously, unconsciously, because the American myth is that powerful. If all Americans were to unite under cowboy hats and guns saying, "We are not going to let you do this," people in power would not stay in power, and the status quo wouldn't be the status quo anymore. Now, the issue is people suck, and that's probably not going to happen, at least that spectacularly, in our lifetime, but we can contribute to the stream that's already trying to break away. There is a desire in the United Statesian collective unconscious to put on a cowboy hat, pick up a revolver, and kill people who are trying to do things to you by bullying you, threatening you, coercing you with guns. My ultimate point here, I suppose, is although nothing is going to happen, maybe don't give up your rootin' tootin' side so easily. The unconscious, serendipitous forces of evil want you to throw it away because it's powerful. If enough people cultivate that frame of mind long enough, not just frame of mind, but also materially, preparing for it, the rattlesnake might get to bite the eagle one day. And the rattlesnake is a way better symbol for the American myth than the eagle is, which is perfect for the American state. Just perfect. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. This means and will come to nothing, but I'm feeling it anyway. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you can put it in a tin and take it out and enjoy it whenever you need to, because that's how much fun we have on this channel. And I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.